Let me tell you a story about a race against time in Boise's real estate market that seems straight out of a Hollywood script, or at the very least, something you'd see on a reality TV show. Let's go with Amazing Race Real Estate Edition. Watch till the end of this video to find out if we were able to complete the mission in time. So let me set the stage for you. I get a phone call around noon on a Wednesday from our relocation department. They have an incoming referral from out of state. Didn't really have too many details to share with me, but that the agent needed me to give her a call right away. Let me just say, when you get referrals from agents in another state, oftentimes they are months out from making a purchase, if not years. But the agent wants their clients to establish that relationship early so that they know that their clients are taken care of when they do finally make that move. But in this case, when I called the agent, she tells me that her client is in Boise right now, is out looking at homes presently, and is completely frustrated with the process and asks if I can help. I was finally able to connect with the client over the phone at 1:30 p.m. And by 2:30 p.m., we were out looking at our first property. So an out-of-town client is in town. That's nothing unusual, but this client had a flight to catch in 36 hours back home. Okay, tight time frame. Again, nothing I haven't dealt with before, until I heard the kicker. Not only did we have 36 hours to find the right property, we needed to close within 12 days. The client's sister, who already lived here in Boise, had a lease that was expiring at the end of the month. So we had a concrete deadline. We technically had 14 days till the end of the month, but we wanted a buffer to allow us to get her in to the new place and moved out of the rental home. But if you've heard anything about the Boise real estate market over the last year or so, we have record low inventory. And we were looking at a price point of around $400,000. So anything that is a remarkable property at that price is going to fly off the shelves in a matter of days. So we have our price range defined, and because of our time constraint, we didn't really have the luxury of waiting for that right property to come available. We had to find it. So during our first meeting, which was literally 1 hour after we talked for the first time on the phone, we sat down at the first vacant home we met at to make sure I understood the clear objectives for the search. Did we have a cushion in the budget? Did we have a cushion in our time frame? What were the non-negotiables with regards to the property we were looking for? What I found was I had a specific budget and I had a specific time frame. These were the non-negotiables. We also didn't want a home that backed to a busy road, and we didn't want a home where there was more yard than there was house. And I cannot underscore the importance of having that clear communication between agent and client. Under pressure, you need to be acutely aware of what the client is looking for and be completely upfront with them with what is realistic and achievable given our time frame. Let's take a quick poll. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being extremely important, how important would trust and communication be for you when working with a realtor under this kind of pressure? Vote in the comments below. So now I know my time frame and I know my budget. So we need to discuss what options are truly available to us. Again, clear communication so that we set and manage expectations. Given our short window of time, we could only look at new construction or vacant properties because we needed to achieve a quick close. Obviously, I brought my tablet with me so that during that first initial meeting at the vacant home, I was able to set it up and we could pull up a search with the client so that we could filter through those properties that were available to us. And she could say yes or no, and that would give me a better idea of what kind of properties she was looking for. And then we could quickly view those properties properties or schedule the viewing. Of course, vacant properties are typically like a go and show, and that helped us get into more homes to preview. So while driving from one property to the other, I was able to leverage my local network by calling one of my contacts at one of the largest builders in town. I gave her the criteria that we had and had her send all of the available properties that met our budget and that criteria directly to my phone. This way, when we showed up at a particular subdivision, I knew all the homes that were a good match for these clients. In one neighborhood, they identified a floor plan that they really liked, and we were able to preview 3 different versions, basically color schemes that we had to choose from. But again, given the low inventory that we currently are experiencing, there were only 6 completed homes total available in that whole community that fit their criteria. So our selection was still pretty limited, but at least we had one option. From there, we went on to look at a townhome in a completely different part of town. It was priced great. It was in an outstanding neighborhood. The home was super cute, but as we're touring it, they got an offer in hand. So if we were going to compete for that home, we really needed to get an offer in early the next morning at the latest. But at this point, we had been going for several hours. Their eyes were glossing over. They had looked at a lot of homes. So we called it a night with a plan to regroup first thing in the morning. And I wanted to expand their search to include other areas that they hadn't initially thought of. But before I continue with the race to find their home, let me introduce myself. I'm Erica Toffel, Global Real Estate Advisor with Group 1 Sotheby's International Realty. I specialize in helping you relocate to the Boise, Idaho area. And that includes Meridian, Eagle, Star, or really anywhere in the Treasure Valley. If you need help with any of your real estate needs, reach out. My contact information is on the screen. And please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you're notified each time I drop a new video. And if you're watching on your television, you can scan the QR code to contact me directly. So we meet up again on day 2. Look at 3 properties we hadn't seen before, and then we head back over to that townhome that we had looked at the night before. Funny how a good night's sleep and seeing the home again in the morning light completely changed our perspective. It no longer had that sparkle like it did the night before. We made sure to inspect the home in greater detail now that we had fresh eyes, and honestly, the wear and tear of the home started to show. This was no longer the home that they wanted. So it was ultimately the new construction home from the afternoon before that became our top choice. So we headed back to the community to finalize the decision. As soon as we knew which home we wanted, because remember we had 3 colors to pick from, I was on the phone to be sure that we could close before the end of the month. Something we needed to be aware of was that builders often have a non-negotiable time frame. They require a new home orientation with the buyers, and that has to happen within a certain amount of days of closing. And then they need to allow a certain amount of days after that new home orientation walkthrough to make any corrections needed. So this is where we had a big choice. They could meet that timeline, but the only way we were going to be able to close on the home within 11 days was to forego an inspection. I typically would not recommend this, but what was more important to this buyer? Having the inspection done prior to close or getting in before the end of the month. What I recommended to them so that they could close on the home within their necessary time frame was to still complete an inspection, but just do it after they closed. You have a 1-year warranty on a newly built home, so anything that an inspector would find during that inspection, even if you now live in the home, would be covered under your warranty. Honestly, I recommend, even if you have an inspection done before you move into a newly built home, to schedule a second inspection at the 11-month mark so that you still have a few weeks to get any last-minute claims in, any items that would still be covered under your warranty while it's in effect. We were lucky that the purchase was so straightforward. We were able to take advantage of a builder buyer incentive, saving my clients $25,000 on their purchase. And thankfully, we didn't experience any hiccups. We completed their new home orientation on a Friday, and they were able to fund and record Monday morning, 3 days before their deadline. So from first meeting to when we closed on the home, we got it all done in 7 business days, because of course it was a holiday mixed in there as well. It was great being able to help another client make their home purchase, but more importantly, I knew that there was a huge weight lifted off their shoulders when they knew we were able to complete their home purchase before the expiration of their lease. If you were in this situation, what fears or concerns would you have about making a quick decision on a home purchase? Share in the comments below. I love hearing from you. It's not very often that we find ourselves in a situation with such a tight time constraint as this. But if you ever do, it's so important to have a real estate advisor that you trust and that listens to you, that can help guide you to those properties that are specific to your criteria. There, of course, is a time and place for a fuzzy search, like when you are introducing somebody to a new market or they're not really sure what they're looking for. But in a situation like this, you need somebody who can guide you and narrow in on specifics. In this whirlwind situation, if you're not paying cash or you have a limited amount of time to search for and complete your purchase, absolutely secure a pre-approval. Especially if you're out of town during your search, when you won't have documents available to you at a moment's notice to send off to your lender for that pre-approval process. And it's important to have a clear idea of what your must-haves are versus what it would be nice to have. If you have a list of that up front, then again, you can manage and set your expectations during your search. For more videos about Boise, Idaho, or for real estate tips in general, click on one of the other videos on the screen. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.